Sarah stumbled, clutching her chest as the endless rows of houses pressed in on them. Rachel's mind was spinning. It felt like they were running in circles, yet every street looked new, every building glowing with that same mirror orange light. Mark shouted to keep moving, but his voice cracked, desperation seeping through. Kyle gasped, "We need to hide, just for a second." They ducked into a narrow gap between two collapsing houses, the boards creaking ominously above them, the air sharp with mold. Rachel leaned against the wall, trying to catch her breath, but then she noticed the glow was seeping from inside the walls, faint lines of light trickling through the cracks. Pressing her ear to the wood, her stomach twisted as she heard voices whispering her name, Rachel, Rachel, over and over. She staggered back, shaking her head. Sarah grabbed her arm, panic etched on her face. "Don't listen. Keep moving." Mark shoved aside a loose plank at the back of the alley, revealing a path leading behind the houses. They slipped through into another street, this one lined with broken lampposts, the lights flickering weakly but never going out. Mark muttered, "Maybe this leads out of town," but Rachel felt it in her gut there was no escape. As they passed under the lampposts, one by one, the bulbs burst, raining glass onto the cracked pavement. Shadows pulled thicker around their feet. Kyle hissed, "We're being pushed somewhere." Her blood ran cold. He was right. It felt like the streets themselves were guiding them, twisting back toward the town center, toward the fountain. Rachel fought against the pull, her body heavy, as if the air itself was dragging them down. Sarah sobbed, whispering, "It's a trap," but there was nowhere else to go. The square loomed ahead, the fountain cracked and dry, the church glowing brighter, the diner doors wide open. Townsfolk stood in perfect circles, waiting for them, hundreds of pale faces with empty eyes, all turning in unison. Rachel clutched Mark's arm, whispering, "What do they want?" The priest stepped forward from the church, his voice echoing across the square. "They want you to remember." Rachel shook her head. "We don't belong here." But the priest only smiled. "You've always belonged here. All who enter Hollow Creek do." Rachel screamed, "We just want to leave." The priest lifted his hand, and the townsfolk moved in closer, silent feet scraping against the stone. Kyle snapped, pulling a rusted pipe from the ground, swinging it wildly. "Stay back!" But the crowd didn't flinch, their pale eyes unblinking. Mark dragged Rachel and Sarah toward the fountain, whispering, "We'll push through the other side." They shoved into the crowd, the air freezing. Rachel felt fingers brushing her arms, cold and clammy, gripping tighter. She screamed, pulling away. Sarah cried out as a woman seized her wrist, the skin splitting open to reveal black veins crawling like worms. Sarah shrieked, and Mark swung his fist, breaking free and dragging her forward. Kyle roared, slamming the pipe into another figure, but it didn't fall or bleed. It just tilted its head, grinning. Too wide. The four stumbled into the fountain's basin, broken stone crunching beneath their feet. The priest raised both arms, his voice booming. "This is where it begins again." Rachel spun around, panicked, again. What did he mean? Then she saw it, the fountain's water bubbling up, black and thick like tar, shapes writhing beneath the surface, clawing to rise. Sarah screamed, backing into Rachel as the townsfolk ringed the fountain tighter, their chant growing louder. "Hollow Creek remembers. Hollow Creek remembers." The tar spilled over the edge, slithering across the stone, forming twisted shapes with limbs stretching toward them. Kyle swung the pipe, smashing through one, but it splattered and reformed instantly. Mark shouted, "Climb out now." They scrambled over the edge of the fountain, Rachel's hands slick with tar that burned cold against her skin. She cried out, pulling free. They ran through the narrowest gap in the crowd, sprinting down another street, the chants echoing behind them, louder and louder. Their footsteps hammered against the cracked road. Rachel's lungs burned, her body heavy with exhaustion. The houses blurred together, each window glowing brighter until the whole street was bathed in orange light, shadows moving inside faster and faster. The sound of feet followed them, dozens, maybe hundreds, chasing. But when Rachel glanced back, the street was empty, only the sound of pursuit pounding in her ears. She spun forward, her scream choking in her throat. At the end of the street, the ground simply ended, a sheer drop into blackness stretching forever below.